I love the Flash show just as much as the next guy, but there was always one thing about it that didn't quite make much sense to me, and that was Flashpoint. Let me explain. The Flash became the man he is today because of one moment in time, one life-changing event that would send Barry Allen down the path of a hero. That moment was the murder of Nora Allen at the hands of Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. For those of you who don't watch the show or haven't seen it in a while, I'll give you the cliff notes throughout the video so you kinda know what's going on, but hold on, because it's gonna get confusing. Anyway, speedrun time. When Barry Allen was 11 years old, his mother was murdered in front of him, and all he could see was 2 flashes of lightning and a man clad in yellow. As soon as he blinked, he was 10 blocks away from his house, and by the time he returned, his mother was dead and his father was sent to prison for her murder. But how did this happen? Or more accurately, why did this happen? Well, basically, in the future, Barry Allen is known as the fastest man alive, the hero of Central City, the Flash. Unfortunately for him, his rival just so happens to be the pettiest man alive, Eobard Thawne. Eobard Thawne was born in the year 2151. He was just a kid who wanted to be just like his hero, the Flash, so he did what any kid would do, I say that sarcastically, and recreated the experiment that gave Barry Allen his powers, and it worked! He became just like his idol, a hero. You see, in the comics, he has a pretty solid backstory. Of course, that doesn't justify or condone any of his actions, but it's a whole lot better than what the show gave us. Basically, in the show, Eobard learned that he could never be as good as his idol, the Flash, so he's gonna be a bad guy and dedicate his entire life to ruining the Flashes. And how do you ruin your arch nemesis' life? Well, you kill him, in simple terms. But Thawne was never quite able to beat the Flash until he discovered his secret. He discovered his name. Barry Allen. With that knowledge, he channeled the source of his power, the negative speed force, and ran back in time to kill Barry Allen as a child and wipe him from existence. How does that work, considering if he kills Barry, he'll never become the Reverse Flash and never kill Barry in the first place? I don't know, but he's often referred to a living paradox, one that never truly dies no matter how many times you erase him from the timeline, but I digress. Obviously, Barry's not gonna let him do that. So he runs back in time after him in hot pursuit. There they were. Red and yellow lightning clashing in the Allen home, past Barry Allen watching hopelessly, calling out to his mom. With Thawne trying to kill younger Barry, the only thing the future Flash could do was run his past self away. Approximately 10 blocks away, in fact. Enraged both Barrys got away, Thawne comes up with a plan. If the Flash were to suffer an event so horrific, so tragic, that he would never become the Flash, Thawne wouldn't need to kill Barry. So, he murdered Nora Allen and framed Henry Allen for her murder, leaving Barry scared and alone. Several events occur, including Barry getting adopted by the love of his life's father, don't think about it, and Thawne, for whatever reason, is not able to return back to his home, the future. So, in a poetic twist of fate, Eobard Thawne has to create the man he wanted to destroy, the Flash. Eobard eventually succeeded, training Barry to be fast enough to break through the time barrier and get him home. But when Barry eventually realized that his mentor was the same guy who killed his mother, let's just say that wasn't gonna fly. So by the end of season 1, they fight, some rando shoots himself, and Thawne gets erased from the timeline. Not really. But not before offering Barry Allen himself a choice. He can run back in time and save his mother and put the timeline back in place, fixing the aberration, as legends would call it, and put everything back on track. Unfortunately, future Barry convinces him not to for some reason, and he doesn't. He then goes through a bunch of character development that changes depending on how the writer feels, and now we're at the end of season 2. Barry Allen, after doing some soul searching in the Speed Force, finally accepts his mother's death. Until the speedster of the season, Hunter Zolomon, or rather Zoom, kills his father in front of him. After defeating the big bad and a lot of brooding, Barry Allen decides to save his mother, and in extension, his father. So, that's what he does. He lives in an alternate timeline, air quotes, where his parents are alive, called Flashpoint. Okay, now that we're finally caught up, here's the deal. After an episode of reflection, Barry decides that he wants things back to how they used to be. So he runs back in time and has Thawne kill his mother, fixing the timeline. But wait, there's more. For some reason, things are different. They kind of explain it with this metaphor, but it doesn't really explain why, more just how it happens. Anyway, that's not even the problem I have. Later in season 3, aliens called the Dominators invade Earth, looking for Barry himself. So they do the whole crossover thing with all the shows, including Legends, Arrow, and Supergirl. And then the cat is out of the bag, thanks to this brat. Just kidding, Cisco, I love you, but you sucked in that moment. And all the heroes learn that their lives are different. The Legends, who time travel, by the way, all yell at him because he caused something called an aberration with Flashpoint, basically changing the timeline, and everyone gets mad, except for Kara and Oliver, because you know they're the best characters besides Barry. But here's the thing. With that logic, Barry didn't do anything wrong. If you think about it, they've been living in an alternate timeline, an aberration, one where Barry's mom is murdered and Barry becomes the Flash like 10 years earlier. Since Barry is Barry, this changes everything. So if you think about it, he was just fixing the aberration by saving his mom. But obviously, whether it's the sheer incompetence of everyone or bad writing, no one figured that out. There could be one explanation though, but it's a stretch and doesn't really make any sense. Remember when I said future Barry, the one who stopped past/present Barry from saving his mom the first time? That was seemingly the original timeline Barry Allen. The timeline where Barry's mother wasn't killed by Eobard Thawne. So why would he stop him? Maybe it was for his timeline's sake. Let's just say future Barry didn't know what was going on because our Barry was from a different timeline and just stopped him because he wanted things to play out the way they were supposed to. But that doesn't make any sense. So I think the simplest way to make this make sense is Nora Allen's death is a fixed point in time. And basically a fixed point is just like a point in the timeline that has to happen. And they're trapped in an infinite fixed point where future Barry's mom was murdered by the Reverse Flash, creating the Flash. But the Flash created the Reverse Flash to a certain extent. So boom, paradox. That's a stupid explanation and doesn't really make any sense. After all, if there was an answer, I wouldn't be making this video. So what have we learned? Okay, let me break it down if you guys were confused. Not that this will help. But basically, Barry eventually saved his mother from the Reverse Flash, okay? But the original timeline, before Eobard Thawne ran back in time and killed Barry's mother, Nora Allen, Barry's mom, was alive. The Flash became the Flash like 10 years later, and that's just how it went. So when the Reverse Flash, living in the future, eventually figured out who Barry Allen actually was, who the Flash was, he ran back in time and killed his mother. That caused a bunch of events to change and transpire, which would be an aberration to the timeline. But Barry running back in time and stopping his mother from dying would be fixing the aberration. It's what the Legends of Tomorrow have been doing in their show. So like, why is everyone mad and all of a sudden saying that he created an aberration by saving his mother, even though that's how it originally was? But basically my explanation was the only way you could like justify that was they basically just live in a paradox where Barry creates the Reverse Flash, but Barry is created by the Reverse Flash killing his mother, okay? But if Barry never created the Reverse Flash, then the Reverse Flash would never run back in time to kill his mother. So it's like, how could he kill his mother? Like, you know, it's like a paradox, okay? It's confusing, time travel stuff. I don't know if the writers really knew what they were doing at this point, but hey, it's The Flash. I love the show. It's had its ups and downs, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna be really sad when it ends. Because even if it was trash or bad or something, I'm really good at just enjoying content and media. And with Ezra Miller being the Flash, you know, Grant Gustin's kind of like the last Flash really out there right now, so it's gonna be really sad to see him go. I hope they use him in the future for something. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see me do more videos just like this one, consider subscribing. It shows me that you enjoy my content and you want to see more of it in the future. And anyways, with that being said, this is Pigol signing off. See you guys in the next one. Bye.